We are here at MJG Studios for the latest installment of the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of community so we can take action. Welcome to PCS's MJG Studios. This is the Community Pulse.
Welcome to the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of the community so that we can take action. I'm today's host, Courtney, and I'd like to welcome Nisha Floyd, VP and Associate Director of Community Development at Wood Forest National Bank. Thanks so much for being with us today, Nisha. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to be here. Yes, of course. Today we're going to be discussing what to do with your first paycheck. When someone gets their first paycheck, what should be their very first move before they spend one single dollar?
Well, first of all, this is such an important question, and I think you actually kind of give us a hint in your question. Plan, right? It's like that anticipation. Like, I have finally secured this job. I am now working, and as we all know, it's usually coming to you either every other week, ideally,
Yes.
so every 2 weeks or maybe every week, depending on the employer. So that is exactly the thing. Let's develop a plan, and it doesn't have to be anything intense. It can be a piece of paper in front of you with a list of your expenses, right? Not wants, but needs, right? Your needs. So rent, you got to pay mom back or dad back. You got to, so kind of cover your debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually also think about things that you may be wanting to save for or set aside for: a car, a bicycle, or whatever it may be, depending on the age of the person and their actually goals, right? But again, create a budget, be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. But, when you have scored the job, create that budget and the thought process of where you want your money to flow to, and then put it away, and then come back to it in a day or so, because things could come up, right? And really try to kind of also add in and things that you want to be allocating for is savings, right? A little set aside for something that you don't know, right? That might be coming up, but that would be my thought on that.
Okay. And how should someone break down their paycheck? Is there a simple framework like the 50-30-20 rule that actually works in real life? Like, we're talking 2026, where the cost of my medium chai is $7.30 every time I get it. Like, how
I know. I love a good chai myself, so I hear ya. And now it's like, maybe we make this at home, right?
Yes, definitely. Because it seems like when I add coconut milk to it, that's when it's ridiculous.
Another dollar. Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Really tough. I mean, there is some rules on this. I think one thing that I know that's floated around in the financial world and people that we talk to is, where you live is most likely the most housing, right? And rent. And if you have a mortgage, it's usually the most expensive part of your lifestyle, typically, and it's usually, we say, no more than 30% of your paycheck should be going to rent, or a mortgage. The problem is, we're finding in America, in Illinois, that a good portion, maybe even close to 50%, is going to our rent, because it is simply so. It's a lot, and it's because it's so expensive.
Yeah,
it's so expensive to live here, and not just here, but housing in general. As we are seeing prices increase of commodity items like eggs and milk and all this other stuff, but also other costs, right? So I would say trying to control your expenses, right, and having housing no more than 30% would be ideal. But then the rest should kind of flow through. But I love the fact that after you figure out your budget, and then do, how much are you spending, and do quick ratios, a percentage. If you're bringing in like $100 a week, and half of that, $50, is going towards rent, just for easy math, that means 50%. That's a little bit too much, right? Is there a way, can you get a roommate? Can you possibly move, or what have you? But I don't have a quick rule, but I think understanding what buckets are being filled is key.
Okay. And then when we, get that first paycheck, we're counting, okay, if I work this many hours, For this many days, I should total this amount. But then we're not really
Yep.
thinking about taxes. And that can be a big shock for a first time earner. What do
Mhm.
people need to understand about what's coming out of their check and why?
Really, really great question. I think the first thing is many time employers will email you your pay stub. If that's happening, that's great because they want to reduce the cost on paper, right?
Yeah.
I typically like to see a paper stub mailed to you, or usually they get electronic deposit of your paycheck, and then there's a pay stub attached. You're not going to see that until you review the pay stub. So that's the first thing you want to do. So either print it out or look it out online, if depending on how you like to review data information, is making sure first, does it all make sense?
Okay.
Does it show the complete hours in which you worked with the with the correct hourly wage or salary wage you were promised? Because guess what? These are people inputting numbers. So number one, there could be some mistakes. So we
Okay.
want to make sure the hours you worked and the pay that you agreed upon, right? And that will and even if you worked overtime, that should be on there, right? And then you multiply the hours you work by how much you get paid per hour. That will give you your gross earnings, right? And that means that big chunk of money, right? And you may think I made $30,000 this year, but you only took home $15,000 because guess what? Government
Yes.
taxes. So
Yes.
then you got to look at what was deducted, and
Hmm.
those are your taxes. And there's a few buckets in which are deductive. The big one is a thing called FICA. That's your Federal Insurance Contribution Act, and that is Social Security and Medicare. And that is great for us when we get older, so retirement age. So that's kind of what you need to know. You don't see it now, but you guys, we will see it later. So
Okay.
we're paying into it as the worker, the person working, and also employers paying into it. So it's a
Okay.
two parties are paying in. So that's one thing. The other thing is our state tax is
Hmm.
deducted,
Hmm.
our county tax, right? And then our federal tax. And any other potential, like if you have childcare or any other things that you may have a deduction for,
Hmm.
when I say childcare, I mean alimony, or for your
Okay.
child's benefits, that
Okay.
may be coming through that as well. But again, these are all listed under deduction, so please take a look. And it's these little amounts, like $60, $50, and you're like, oh, it's not that bad. That's coming out every pay period.
Yeah. Yes. And it
So
adds
that
up.
is where it adds up. It adds up. So please review your pay stub. I think that's a great thing to do initially and every single time. And you may
Okay.
forget, but especially if you work overtime, make sure those overtime dollars are correct and the hours are being correctly noted. And there's always ways to go back to your employer and say, hey, listen, explain to me
Mm. Hmm.
why is it like this? And I
Okay.
love that when people come to me, because it makes me kind of second guess, oh no, did we do this right?
Yeah.
Because guess what? People get things wrong by a
Yeah.
mistake, right?
Yeah.
Not intentional usually.
Yeah. I mean, we're human, so
We're
it makes
human.
sense.
Yep, yep. Yeah, exactly. Or, they code people into a job. Like, oh, this is your role and your code is this. And if they may mix a digit up, then they
Mhm.
may code you as something else and you're not getting your full amount that you should be getting.
Okay. Okay. I like how you said that because I can honestly say I don't like, I just think, okay, I'm going to get this amount, but never have I actually gone through my check and just make sure that everything adds up. So I like that. I
Yeah,
really, really,
yeah.
I'm gonna use that for myself.
Please, I love it. Yeah, it should all kind of hopefully balance out to what you thought you were supposed to earn.
Exactly.
Ideally,
Yes.
maybe even more with bonuses. Some employers do like quarterly bonuses, annual bonuses, right? So that is actually taxed as well separately,
Okay.
but that would be all in there, right? So for sure.
Okay. Thanks. And then what's the difference between a checking account and a savings account? And as a new earner, like I'm just starting to work, get those paychecks, which one should I open first?
Yeah, so the term checking and savings are just kind of terms, right? They're just two different accounts. I would always say you want to start your checking account, right? That's where you're gonna be writing checks, as they say, or money's gonna be flowing in and out, right? You're paying your bills from the checking account, right? But as you open your checking account, I would always say also open a savings account. And
Okay.
usually this is always free, depending on where you bank, right? Just ask for a free checking and can I ask to add on a savings account? And they're linked. And usually the savings accounts earns you like a quarter of a percent interest, like really small interest. But as you compile your money, hopefully you'll get more interest. But the idea is your whole check this is how I would plan it. Your whole check goes into your checking account.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole money that goes into what your budget was, your expenses, right? And then whatever you decided to save automatically gets swept into your savings account.
Okay.
Or you can manually pull it into a savings account. And what that happens is when you look on your phone and your app and you look to see your accounts, you should see two accounts, your checking and your savings. And I have one, and I personally love it because I love to see, wow, my checking account might be kind of small because it's paying all my bills, but my savings account, hopefully that's kind of building and it's consistent and it's a little bit hopefully larger, right? Or, your savings for the trip or a big ticket item in your life. So that's how I would address it: is checking account is daily, savings account is for those rainy day expenses or for big savings things that you're planning in your life.
Okay. I like that perspective.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
how should someone, because you talked about the checking and then what the savings should be for, but what if I wanted to start an emergency fund? And like, how should I go about that? And then how should I aim to save in it before like I focus
Right.
on anything else?
Yeah. So there is a lot of information and studies that the federal government, like the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Institutions, have had on savings in America.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that 75% of Americans do not save enough.
Yeah.
And we also know that Americans in our country are one emergency, meaning your car breaks down, you lose your job, away from losing your home
Yeah.
or not being able to
Yeah.
pay your mortgage, right?
Yeah.
And so that being said, we should always be saving immediately.
Okay.
And I also would say it's hard. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, my paycheck is this much. I've now done my budget on my piece of paper. It's going everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But even if you can't save every month, even if it's $5, it's $5. It gets
Okay.
you in the habit. And
Okay.
it's so easy to maybe switch from something else to push it into saving. So I would say immediately, and maybe you create your account, you put $20 in there, right?
Okay.
And maybe your goal is just get to $100, right?
Okay.
And it's like going to the gym or working out. It's hard. But once you get through the door, you're like, I gotta stay.
Yeah.
So if you have your account set up, you have a plan in mind, put $5, $10, make it a round number, right?
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be 100 or anything
Mhm.
crazy, Start small, and then it can fluctuate, right? So that's what I would think immediately, for sure.
Okay. And I like how you said like small amounts. I think sometimes we're just like,
Yeah.
oh, well, if I can't save like $1,000, then it just doesn't even matter. But it takes certain amounts of dollars to get to $1,000, and you can do
Exactly.
it if it's like little by little.
You got it. And also, you ideally, if you definitely have enough money in your budget to put, like, let's say at the end of everything, your surplus of money is $500.
Mm-hmm.
That means that's stuff you can play around with,
Mm-hmm.
but you can really blow 500 very
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah, very much so.
Just going out to dinner, you're done.
Yes.
In this city,
Yes.
But if you were like, gosh, I'm going to have a lot of money because I did overtime. Maybe this month I put $50 away.
Okay.
And the next month I go back to my $5. So you kind of have, I know I'd actually do that. When I know I'm getting either my annual bonus, I know I'm going to save quite a bit, then go back to my usual savings and I do it every pay period,
Okay.
$20, $50, whatever it is that you can do. But I think it's when you're able to do more,
Yeah.
but you're able to, but default to your base of $20 or to
Yeah.
$5, whatever it was. Right.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. One thing
Yeah.
I did years ago, I was working a job where I was not making a lot of money. So I did each week you save like that dollar amount. So the first week was $1, the second week was $2, the third week was $3. After a year, I had like over $1,000 in my savings account. This year, because I hadn't worked full time in a very long time, my bills had piled up. So this
Yep.
year, I opted to do the $2 each week. So it's like $2 the first week, $4 the second week, $6 the third week. And I think like after the year, I'll have like 2,700
Oh
saved.
my gosh.
Yeah, I just because for me it was
I love
easier
that.
because what I like is that at the beginning you're not saving a lot, so it allows for me to pay more on my bills, to just pay my credit cards
Yes.
down. And then I'm like,
Yes,
okay, the
exactly.
goal is to have more like free money, well not free, but extra money
Yeah.
at the
Extra
end of the
money to
year
play
so
with.
then I can save more because
Right.
I pay down these bills. So
Exactly.
yeah, it was kind of like looking at my
Uh,
situation. I'm like, I still want to
yeah.
save and pay off, and I'm trying
Yes.
to be disciplined enough to pay it off within like the first 6 months because I just started in December. So pay
Yeah.
off everything by, or at least pay significantly down everything the first 6 months, so then I can start saving more the
The
last six
next.
months. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that you have a plan. And I think that's so important for everybody. And it doesn't have to be outrageous, right? It
No.
just has to be
No.
doable and also disciplined. I think
Yes.
that you're clear, like you have a clear plan. Like I got to pay some bills down, but then once this 6 month period is done, then I'm able to, move over. And also, I like also the thought what you had was, so I'm thinking every pay period you take $20, right? But maybe it's every day with
Okay.
our like you said, like it's every day a couple
Well, no,
dollars,
not every
right?
day.
So
No, no, no,
right, not
not
every day,
every
okay.
day. It's every week. It's every
Right,
week.
right.
So not every. Nisha, I don't
Okay,
have
got
any
it, got
money.
every day, okay, not right, it was every week,
But
but
what
I'm
I do,
thinking at,
yeah. But then I started
yeah,
out like really low. Like my first. Okay, so I get my first paycheck. So okay, that's 2 weeks. So that would have meant the first week was $2. The second week
hmm
was $4. So I only saved like $6 in
right,
that 2 weeks time span. But that adds up. And
right,
I
it
think,
does.
yeah.
Well, even I'm thinking now, it's like, oh, it's so hard to say, but if I did $1 a day just for 2 weeks, there's my, $14.
Right,
You know,
exactly. Yes.
okay. So it's kind of how you look at things. Because as you were talking about, oh, that's so easy. One week, then 2 weeks. It's
Hmm.
just you think it just take it in bite-sized pieces. I love that.
Yes, that way, because I have
Yeah,
fallen into the trap of, okay, I'm going to save like $100 off of every single paycheck, and I get
yeah.
stuck. Like it's just like, oh, wait a
Well,
minute.
yeah.
I needed to get this taken care of first, and then I can kind
Yes.
of, but at least the $2 this week, $4 next week, that just helps me not to get off track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly right. Savings shouldn't cripple you.
Right.
This is like I needed $100 and now I'm kind of stuck because now I can't pay anything.
Yes.
That is also not. We want to set ourselves up for success, not failure. And I think
Exactly.
we all think savings should be like thousands of dollars, and it ideally should be. But when you're starting off or you're rebuilding, and your first paycheck, as we're kind of talking through, that's the theme of this conversation, is that you start small,
Yeah.
and then go from there. Yep,
Yeah.
love it.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
so okay, we're saving, we've got our
Mhm.
bills, but what if someone has student loan debt? Should their first paycheck go towards that, or is there a smarter order of their financial priorities?
Yeah, when it comes to student loan debt, that's debt that's actually owed to, the government, right?
Right.
Or to the fund in which they borrowed money for. I think when you get your first paycheck, and I'm not, full disclosure, I'm not an expert on student loans, but
Mm-hmm.
if that's a bill coming to you and you can't afford it, I think the first thing you need to do is reach out to the organization in which who is holding the loan and say, hey, I want to pay this, but this current amount that I'm owed per month is, let's say it's 300 and I can only afford 100. They usually, if I'm not mistaken, again, please don't quote me on this, they will adjust it for you. And it
Okay.
has to be based on what you're bringing in.
Okay.
Because I have had friends, many years ago who've had student debt, which was crippling them,
Yes.
and so they
Yes.
had to reach back out to the organization that was like handling the loan for them. It's usually it's contracted from the university or what have you, or it's a freestanding loan from an organization or institution that you can negotiate that to have it be reduced. Usually when that happens, it just goes longer. It's a
Okay.
longer period of time.
Okay.
And as you earn more money, then you can pay more down, which will then bring your monthly rate down. Similar to a car note, right? If you have a car note for 5 years versus, 10 years, 10 years will be less per month, but you're going longer, right?
Yeah. And I like
Yeah.
how you talked about as far as like your student loan debt, call the
Call.
make that phone call. Like it's so important. I think sometimes people get the notices and they're just like, "Oh, I can't pay, so I'm just not going to worry about it," or, I'm just going to ignore it, but it doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. And honestly, please, I love Corey that you just kind of brought that up. Call.
Yeah.
Even if you're going through a credit card as well, call. Let them know what's going on. They on the back end, they can't forgive it, but they can make a note that this individual's reaching out. So ideally, you want to make sure you're not getting penalized for not paying on time or not paying in full. Making sure that it's not hitting your credit, which is a whole other conversation, but just making sure. And usually of all the debt, student debt is like kind of the best debt to have
Mhm.
because, we look at it in the world of finance is that you've actually gone to school, you're bettering yourself, you're
Okay.
getting a good education to make more money. So we don't penalize when we look at your credit, student debt so much. But we also know it's a huge issue in this country because school is so expensive,
Yes.
and also
Yeah.
like if everyone remembers COVID, student debt was on hold.
Yeah.
Meaning people didn't have to pay their institutions back because people were losing jobs. It was a time of flux in our country. So it's same as it is for back then in 2020, as it is for the person who has a debt now. Make a call. Make sure is there better options? Even reaching out. Can I refinance this? Right. And moving forward and figuring out. But again, as you're building your budget. And before you got your job and you know what you're going to get paid, having on your expense item your student debt amount would be
Okay.
key, right?
Okay.
So that would be something you were taking in consideration before you start your job. But if you forgot it, or if it's realized my job doesn't cover the cost of the debt, then reaching out, circling back to to the institution that lent you the money and
Okay.
saying, how can I reduce this payment?
Okay. And then what does it mean to pay yourself first? And how can someone set that up automatically so it happens? I think you might have
Yeah.
talked about it briefly, but can we go into more detail about that?
Yeah, that's kind of a not newer, but that is something in the recent maybe decade. People have been savings always was like it's after the fact, like kind of what
Mm,
we were talking about. Like we pay our bills, and then if we have a little bit extra, we then save.
yeah.
This is actually kind of a brain shift, a little bit of saying, no, 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 no. You've worked really hard. You scored this job. You woke up every day. You should,
Right.
if you list your water bill, utility bill, me. It should be me. I need to
Mhm.
pay me first. And that's just a different way of looking at it. I
Okay.
think it's if you have a surplus, then put the me in there as your expense and make sure you set aside money for your savings or for yourself, right? In
Okay.
your kind of expense list. But it's the same idea as savings, right? But it's more of a set aside. Making sure you set aside to pay yourself. And it could be also rewarding yourself. I mean, savings is for the rainy day, unexpected expense, but this set aside could be like getting your nails done, getting
Hmm.
your hair cut, making sure that you kind of allocate for the me stuff, right, in
Hmm.
your expenses, right? I maybe would lump that into savings a little bit, but this
Okay.
could be just you're adding more stuff for you, but also recognizing these are things that you need for yourself, that you're rewarding yourself for.
Okay.
Buying books or getting the latte, or the
Yes.
chai. It's the stuff that is needed, right? But it's
Right.
kind of knowing that this is how you are customizing it or categorizing it as a me expense, right?
Okay.
But again, but also on the flip side, it's a set aside. It's also to save, right?
Okay. Okay. And then what are the most tempting but financially harmful things people do with their first paychecks? And what should they do instead?
Oh, this is a hard one
Yeah.
because this is like I think when people you get this a big chunk of money, you know,
Yes.
$1,000 plus, right? And it's like I want to buy something, or I want to upgrade something.
Hmm.
I need you know, it's like you're sitting on a beautiful couch right now, but let's say I love your couch, but you get your big ticket item, and you're like, I need a new couch. It's like, I think it looks fine. You know,
Right.
it's like really knowing it's those big ticket items that can wipe away that paycheck so quickly.
Okay.
But you in your head think you need to upgrade it or change
Hmm.
it. And
Hmm.
those are more long term after you maybe paid yourself first a little bit more money or saved a little bit more money, as we talked about. Those are where maybe those big ticket items could come. So I think it's big ticket items, gifts. I think all
Okay.
of us, I think money
Yeah.
affords us to treat our family and
Yes.
treat our friends or our significant others. And you want to like take someone out to dinner, like who's supported you. And that's so lovely. But maybe it's going to the grocery store and just buying $5 flowers and, you know, and
Okay.
arranging it
Yes.
nicely. Downsizing the gift idea a little bit, right?
Right.
But I also think the big thing here is, and I made a note of it as before we jumped on this, our conversation is visualize what you want I get it. You want to buy something and it
Hmm.
might be big and we're a consumer science society. Visualize what you want to buy. Have a goal of what you want to buy, but be real thoughtful of that gift or that idea. Don't just say I want to buy a house. It's
Hmm.
more of like, well, where do you want to buy that house? How much would
Hmm.
that house cost? That's a longer savings goal plan,
Yes.
right? But it can be tempting to just be like, oh, I just need to do something now. Maybe more thought and planning needs to go into it. But kind of circling back, just try not to buy big ticket items
Okay.
unless it's part of your longer goal savings plan,
Okay.
that you have a plan for yourself. These cars, a home, a new place, a couch, whatever it may be.
So really just asking yourself, do I need this?
Yes.
Like, do I
Do I
need it?
need it?
Yeah.
Do I need it? Right.
Right.
And can it, some things I get, like it's falling apart. You're just not, you're not proud of it. Right. I get
Hmm.
that. But can it last a little bit longer until you can get your cushion, so then that the goal would be just kind of put some things in context is that if you want a new couch and that's not a necessity, it's a want. Right? It's not
Right.
a need. I need this
Right.
to live. I want it. Okay, then it's like I need to set aside money so I have enough of it,
Hmm.
right? To pay for the new project. It just can't be reactionary. I think that's
Okay.
what happens a lot of the time with you get your first paycheck and you can fall in the traps of being really reactionary of things
Okay.
that you may want, or
Yeah.
you think you may need, but you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, ooh, I have all this money now. Like, what can I get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And also, I mean, I hate to say this, I think friends can play a role in a lot of this, like meaning you're with your buddies, with your gals, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go out, let's do something, let's plan a trip, and you kind of get swept into it because they
Yeah.
know you're working. Right. And they know you have some money in your pocket and it's hard to say no. Even as
Yes.
adults, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what age you are. It's really sticking to your kind of guns and being like, I have a plan here. I
Hmm.
can't participate in this outing or this event or this evening experience, but I can down the road. Give me 6 months. You
Yeah.
know?
Yes. Yes.
You
It's
know,
so funny you said yes. I'm
you
in that
know,
situation now where we were like, let's do a trip to Japan. And everyone was like, okay,
oh
let's
wow,
look at
yeah.
our budget.
Yes, right. It's like, can this be a 2027 thing? Like,
Right.
because then you
Right.
have a year. You already have, I think, a couple thousand lined up in your back. So it's like, you can kind of then and price things then, right? And say, okay, the
Yes.
ticket's going to be this, the housing will be this, or the hotel, and then food will be this. And then you can back into the goal, right? But I don't think people would be reactionary on things like that, but then it's so easy to get a credit card
Yes.
and be like, oh, I'll put on the credit card. I'll get
Yes.
points. I'll pay it down. But that's a very tricky cycle because if you're not disciplined, it just adds up. And
It
then,
does.
then you have credit card debt and that interest rate is like close to 28, some 8% or something. I
Hmm.
don't know what it is right now, but usually if you don't pay it off, you end up paying, triple that back to the credit card. That's how they make their money,
Yeah.
right? So we
Yeah.
got to be careful.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Now we've
Yeah.
talked about like the accounts and okay, we've got like pretty much thinking about the now and our future, but just future, like if we want to get something or like take that trip. But what
Mhm.
about like a 401k? What is that? Or
Mhm.
like, should people be thinking about? I mean, I just got my first paycheck. Should I be thinking about a
Yeah.
retirement account? Like,
Oh my gosh. I mean, 100%
okay,
hands down, do it. Um, when you're even before, if you're interviewing and they say we offer for that, if they don't, they're not saying this to you, you should be asking, what do you guys offer a 401k? That's the first question. If they say yes, usually most employers do, even nonprofits do, right? They call
okay,
it a 401b, I think.
yeah,
But then your second question is, do you match it?
okay,
And then you'll get that answer, right? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. What that means is this is 401k is like a retirement savings plan. And you are able, as you start your job, if you participate, which I highly, highly recommend you participate, it might feel like, well, gosh, I need every single dollar I earn after taxes to come to me. I can't afford it.
yeah,
But this money is pre-taxed,
okay,
meaning it actually enters the 401k fund before it hits taxes. So you're getting more of it, first of all. And
okay,
also, another thing is it reduces your taxable income. So it puts you in a different tax bracket, which is good. So you don't
okay,
pay so much taxes at the end, right? So
okay,
it's basically automatic retirement savings plan before you receive your paycheck.
okay,
And and typically, you can start off a percentage of your pay. It's not like, so I think, it can be 6% of your paycheck,
okay,
5% of your paycheck. It can be small amount, like $20, $50, $60, and you can increase it, right?
mm-hmm,
And then it goes into they actually, your employer has a third party fund manager that, a little bit paperwork, meaning online register, but if your employer is offering it, they have people there to help you walk you through it. So
okay,
any of your questions you have, you can answer them. And then you'll basically find out where you want to invest your money into the stock market, into mutual funds. It's just kind of what have you. Typically, as you're investing money, you're earning money on the money you're investing. So it's
okay,
growing with you. It's following the market. And everybody, well, not everybody knows, but just telling everybody, if you invest your money long term, it will grow at a certain percentage automatically.
okay,
Even though some years you may lose money, and oh no, I lost money, but you're sticking it long term, it's gonna grow. So
okay,
I think average is 11% growth, which is great,
mm-hmm,
and so it just, as you're putting money in, it's growing slowly.
okay,
401k is amazing, and some employers, as you build your 401k, you can, and I don't quote me on, I don't want to go too in the weeds in this.
mm-hmm,
You can potentially, you can't touch it. Okay, that's for
mm-hmm,
your retirement. But there's a way for you to take a loan out against it if
okay,
you need it.
yeah,
Because it's your money. It's your
right,
money. It's your money, right? But you got to pay that back.
yeah,
So there may be some costs associated with that. But again, just putting a seed in some the folks' mind that's listening right now that you can use it down the road, if you need to. But ideally, at 65, when you retire, that's when you're pulling it out. But
okay,
highly, highly recommend a 401k. It's hard when you're young to think about retirement, but it's
yeah,
here before you know it. And what's special about it is you can't touch it.
mm-hmm,
It hits, so you get your paycheck, it's already taken out.
okay,
And as humans, that's very helpful.
yes,
And you can change it. Let's say you want to reduce the amount you pay. You can always go in. It may take 30 days, change it.
mm-hmm,
Like, I want to do more now. Or I want to do
mm-hmm,
less now.
mm-hmm,
Things have happened, right? And so you can talk to your provider. And then let's say you quit your job and you find another job. You actually then you can transfer your 401k to the next company,
okay,
or to a Fidelity account or an outside third party broker. But yeah,
okay,
that's always your money to take. The employer does not take it.
okay.
So
And so
it's
first
really
time
important.
owners or first time earners, remember you have to
Yes.
take that money with you.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. You have to remember to take the money with you. The third, that's why the third party manages it. So you should be getting emails from them. Like our third party at Woodforest is Principal, and
Okay.
Principal, so Principal emails me. So even if I left Woodforest, I could still you keep the money there and manage it, because it's kind of held there. Woodforest does not own it.
Okay.
It's my money that I set aside, and then they match it. But matching is almost like they're giving you money.
Yeah.
So, and usually matching can only happen, or even 401k, after 90 days of employment.
Okay.
So they want to make sure you stick around. Things happen in jobs, as we all know.
Right.
And sometimes people don't stick around, or you don't like the job, right? So they don't have to do all that paperwork until they know for sure, okay, you're ready.
Okay.
Let's talk about your 401k. Are you going to participate?
Okay. And if you could give one piece of actionable advice to someone who just received their first paycheck, what would it be?
Oh, well, this is a great question. I think, first of all, you received your first paycheck, celebrate internally. Don't throw a party,
don't go spend it.
Don't sell it. I think that's the mind shift of really reflect. I worked really hard for this.
Yeah.
This was hard to get a job in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. And I had to show up, and I had to sell myself, and I had to do something that was uncomfortable and kind of annoying and hard, but I did it and I learned it. And now after 2 weeks, I have this paycheck to reward me to actually, for the work I did, I'm now getting paid for it.
Yes.
You are entitled to it. You worked for it. Celebrate that. Just take a moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just say, I did this, right? And then and reflect on all that work, because I think what happens is it was hard to do. Now it's going to be harder. Not going to lose it, because it's going to lose it, but it's going to be spent on other things, right?
Right.
So immediately start implementing your plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to cash the paycheck right away and get some cash and run out and hang out with some people and friends and do stuff. That's why, number one, paycheck, I hope you put it directly into your checking account, like a direct deposit.
Okay.
So you'll get a notification on your either whoever you bank with, your mobile app, that you got paid that day. And then you look at your pay stub, as we talked about, make sure everything lines up, and celebrate it. And then the next step would be, and internally make sure maybe we decide $20 goes into your new savings account. Okay. Right? Put that in there, right? And then the fun stuff, right? Start paying for bills.
Mm-hmm.
Start paying for all the things that you had to pay for, because you had a plan in place, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing, right? And just also reflecting that money is fluid.
Okay.
It is very fluid. That we say this all the time in banking. It's a fluid. You can't get too attached to it. Yeah. It comes and it goes. It leaves your hands. You work, then it comes back to your hands, right? And you just have to, if you recognize that part of money, because it can be kind of depressing, to be honest, and that you worked really hard and now it's gone. Yeah. But that's how it is. And then it comes and it goes. Yeah. It's like the ocean. It's very, philosophical in a way, right? Yeah. But the whole idea is, even if, let's say you did something and you blew something and you're so mad you did that, God, why'd I do that? You just have to not get too depressed. Just know you go to work on Monday. Keep on working, more money will come. You won't make that mistake again, whatever you did, let's not make those mistakes again. So that's kind of, I think it's sticking with your plan, recognizing how hard you worked, right? And usually individuals that kind of feel this way and have this mind shift about money end up realizing that things they thought they wanted, like the truck or the car or the new couch, they realize, I can wait. Yeah, I can wait. I can wait, because I worked really hard. I'm realizing I want to that's gone once you spend the money on something like a consumer item, right? On your housing and utilities and food, that's necessary, right? Yeah. But some of the fun stuff that we like, you realize I can wait, or I can buy secondhand, use Marketplace, or I can ask my friends if they're selling something, I can buy it from them. It's usually a little cheaper, So you kind of make hopefully better decisions, right? And usually the wealthiest people, there's a saying that usually people that are the wealthiest people drive the oldest cars.
Yes.
And you're like, why is that CEO driving an old Honda Civic? It's like a 2001, because drives right. It doesn't break down. It's just fine. They own their home, but they may have another home. They have their retirement all, tied up or nicely packaged, they're paying for their kids' schooling because they've made really strategic decisions.
Yeah.
So I hope we should all learn a little bit from that. I think some people take it too far, but I think there's a lot to be learned for, like, just, it's okay to drive something old, or it's okay to not get the brand new shoes or the name brand stuff, right?
Right. So, no, I agree with you. I'm a fan of thrifting. I am such a fan of
it. Me too. I hate to tell you how old, like, some of my clothes are. Okay, it's like 20 years old, but whatever, it still fits, it still works. Like, well, I don't need a new V-neck, sweater.
Exactly.
This one.
Yes. Well, Nisha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. This is a great conversation. It's very timely as especially individuals start new jobs this spring, and kids coming out of high school or college looking for jobs. So it's a great time to talk about our first paycheck.
Indeed, indeed. Well, thank the audience. I just want to thank you all for joining us today for the Community Pulse. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.